Back better than ever. Compel your audience. Thanks so much if you're joining us today. Just want to talk a little bit about champions. We hear this word champions a lot in sales and in marketing, but what I believe is that we need people to be champions of our story. That if we're telling a story as a leader, we need people in the organization that are sharing that story for us throughout the organization. Someone that believes in it, someone that can take that story and that can continue to relay that over and over. They're truly a champion of that story. If we're in sales, we need somebody typically within the organization that we're maybe selling into to be a champion for us to get that message, to get that story to the decision maker. And then, if I'm a customer service rep or I deal with customers regularly, I want my customers to be champions because that's how we increase referrals. And it goes without saying that we all need strategic partners that are telling our stories in our community, in the workforce, in the industry. So let's talk about, okay, we agree we all need champions at different points in our organization, different places, different departments. But how do I get them? How do I get people that are excited to be a champion? How do I get people that say, yes, I want to grab that and run with that story, and I want to tell a lot of other people? Because most of the time, I think it's difficult because what we believe is that when we're sharing the story, well, who else is on board and why do they want to be on board? What's their motivation for sharing our story, being a champion of it? I think number one is in true story fashion is that we have to make the champion feel like the hero. We have to make them feel like a hero. What that means is if I'm sharing a story about a product, about a change that's happening in the organization, about a new product that'll be coming out that's going to impact our customers that, we want to maybe earn a little bit more of their wallet share, about the organization as a whole and how it's growing or impacting or market share, whatever it might be. But whatever that is, I need to make my audience feel like a champion. They need to feel like not more than a champion, but they need to feel like a hero. They need to feel like a hero. They need to feel like that because they now know the story, they can go out and tell other people. I'm going to give you a small metaphor for this, but when new products come out, we see this a lot. When someone rode, the first Uber, when someone, drank the first cup of cold brew, I've been a massive champion for this product here of Liquid Death. I tell people about it all the time, how it's great water. I love it. It's in a can, insane market placement that if you're the designated driver or you're at a great party and you don't want to drink, you can drink this. I'm a champion of it, and it makes me feel like a hero when I share it because it fits with who I am. It's called Liquid Death and it's water. It's disruptive. It's innovative. It's bold. And I believe that's who I am to a core, is that I want to be innovative. I want to be a disruptor. I'm bold. I'm direct. And so when you're drinking a thing called Liquid Death, all those things come through. It makes me feel like the hero when I share the story because I'm sharing it with somebody else. I'm giving them a great product to be able to use. No different than if my leader was to share a change that's happening in our organization. And I really believe that I can be a part of that change, that change is going to benefit my world, that I am going to go and champion the story. When I hear someone having a problem and I know the change can be effective, I'm going to go say, hey, we're going to make a change that's going to really help you and help this company. And you need to buy into this change because it'll fix that. So you've got to make people feel like that they are the heroes, or they never will champion the story. They'll never truly be a champion and go and share that story for you within the organization or in these various places. Number two is you have to give them a reason to share it. I like to call it a better future. They are going to get a better future by sharing it. So some of these things might be increased status, telling somebody about something they don't know yet, so your status, bumps up, or maybe it's increased connection. You are sharing something that people are then connected to because you're sharing that story because you're in the know, because you know it. Maybe it's increased money. Maybe you can make more money by sharing this to other people and being a champion. We need to offer a better future for people that are willing to share the story. Because if they will champion the story, they have to know by sharing this, it offers me a better future in my relationships, in my business, in my organization, as an individual, in my personal life, in my relationship, whatever it might be. But they have to feel like there's a better future for them if they are to share that story. So, number one, we need to make them feel like a hero. Number two, give them a reason to share it. Improve life, improve status. It helps them create a connection, whatever it might be. Lastly, is we need to tell them a story. We need to tell them the story many times in different ways. So we need to take an omni-channel approach in how we're telling that story, because we don't know which one is going to make them feel like the hero and offer a better future. Is it video? Is it a blog? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it an email? Whatever it might be, we have to be equipped to tell that story in many different ways. And I think this is what organizations are quite honestly struggling with the most, is that they don't know quite how to tell the same story in different mediums. And more importantly, maybe the owner does, and maybe marketing does, but maybe customer service doesn't, and maybe sales doesn't, or maybe an internal leader doesn't. And we need everyone to feel really comfortable with, how am I sharing these stories in different modes? What we know is that 87% of all consumption online is some type of streaming. It's video. So if 87% of all the consumption is streaming and people are going to watch videos, then we need to be able to tell that story in a video and make people feel confident and then sharing. Now, it's evident that tons of people are sharing stories on social media that aren't validated, but it inspired them. It made them feel like a hero. It made them feel like that it offered a better future to share this with other people. And that is what our goal is in an organization. How do we find and how do we cultivate more relationships so that we can have champions? Now, I'm going to give you a couple ways that I think you can find these champions a little more readily within your organization. Number one, if you are a leader, I would suggest whiteboard sessions. Create some whiteboard sessions offering details of this change or this story that you want to spread within the organization in a positive way. And offer your people an opportunity to help you write this story, to build this story. Those that seem to have a more vested interest in that whiteboard session, those that are more engaged, have more questions, are asking, how's this going to affect people specifically? Those are the people that you really can cultivate into a champion of sharing the story. What we have to understand is that people are wired different. So if we only have one type of champion, then the story isn't going to grow organizationally. If we only have, a champion who is wired up to think of sequential steps, very much in the process itself, then they may only communicate and tell that story in a process lens. If we only have people that are all about results, they only care about how we're achieving what we're achieving, then they may only share that in their lens. And then lastly, somebody that only cares specifically, not only, but more motivated by people and how it affects the people in the organization, then they're going to share it accordingly. That is why we have to cultivate multiple different champions in the organization, and they have to be able to share that story in a way in which they're motivated, which then impacts other people who are motivated that way as well. So that's number one, creating some whiteboard sessions, some places where we can work on this story together. Because as a leader, I might know how I want to share the story, but I'm going to want the input of the people that I need to believe in that story, to own that story, to continue to write that story, to build upon that story. I need them involved. So number one, whiteboard sessions. On a customer standpoint, I need to know what is my customer story? How is my product? How has my product changed their life? How has it affected their business? And then what are their goals for the future in order to change their business and grow in revenue, or whatever the specific KPIs and the things that they have. I can do that by having more open conversations. So instead of telling my customers, start asking my customers. And I'm not talking about um, a survey. I'm not talking about a really low level, low contact way of asking them these questions. I'm talking about taking a true interest in their business and asking them what is going on in their business now and how has our product or service changed your world. I can sometimes garner and mine for some really great stories just in that exercise that I then can use in the next grouping of prospects and finding new prospects. But I would start with my customers and let them tell you what they're going through. Why? Because one, that offers the opportunity for referrals. If I can help craft a story with them that they then can go tell, then now they've become the champion. Number two, maybe in your organization, you want to incentivize that. And so if I give them a great story and they have success, maybe there's some incentive for them to share that. And then three, in order to be an expert, then many times the organizations want to be seen as the expert in the industry. So they're going to share some of the products and services that they use so that other people will come to them and ask them, hey, what are you doing? How are you having success? And then that offers an opportunity for referrals as well. But we have to help them write that story. We have to help them shape what that story is. Lastly, with our salespeople, when we're trying to tell a great strategic story to compel our prospect audience, then what we have to do, quite honestly, to help is we have to understand that there are decision makers and that there are champions who are going to have some influence over the decision makers. We have to be willing to spend the time with the champions and in an omni-channel approach, be willing to tap into these different places that a champion can see it. But if I don't know what they're going through, if I don't know their story, then my story doesn't matter. We're trying to solve problems that don't matter to them. We're trying to offer solutions to things they're not even going through. So I have to know more about them. And if I can tap into these champions, if I can offer a place for these champions to come, it's why you're seeing more webinars, more free webinars, why you're seeing more opportunities for prospects to come and interact and to be a part of. I think that's what was probably most exciting about the virtual world, work from home, pandemic, all of that, is that companies began to be able to meet with more people more quickly, build relationships, and understand what they need and wanted. And if we can do that with more champions, then now I've got multiple people that are leading back up to the decision maker and telling them, hey, this product is great. Hey, I really love this product. I was talking to a CEO recently, and he was telling me that that about 8 of their salespeople began using a product. And I won't say the product, but they began using the product. And he had not agreed to purchase this product, but they were using a free version or a pilot version. It was working so well that then when he began to ask about it, they all had a reason, a story to tell of why they loved it. And because it had success and because someone was nurturing those relationships, the decision maker had no choice but to come back to the company and say, I want this for all my salespeople. And my guess is it was probably the sell that allowed this organization to grow, hit quota as a salesperson, and wildly probably grow like a brush fire amongst their competitors and in their industry. So if you are, trying to find ways to find champions in my people and in my prospects, in my customers and partners, you're going to one, have to have a really great story that you're telling. You're going to have to make them feel like a hero. Going to have to give them a better future if they decide to share it. And then you're going to have to share it with them in multiple ways, multiple modes, multiple mediums, so that one of them is probably going to interact with that medium in a certain way that's more impactful than another. And then lastly, you're going to have to be willing to listen to others about the story that you're sharing. I think this is probably the most difficult. Too often, we have a story in our mind, and I've been guilty of this, and I think it's the best story. It's the greatest story. It's the one I should be sharing, but it's not the right story because I wasn't listening to the right people and sharing that story. So I would encourage you that if you want to see your business grow, if you want to see your influence grow, if you want to see your customers retain, then you must find champions. Find champions in the organization so it impacts your people. Find champions in your customers so it increases referrals, and find champions in your prospects so they can go to the decision maker and share the story that you're sharing that will naturally compel all of those audiences. If you need help in this story, reach out. Craft and Compel. This is what we do. We help people build strategic stories to impact their people, their prospects, their partners, and their customers, so that it increases revenue, influence, retention, and bottom line is it really will impact referrals. So if you are in that place, hit me up. So thankful for storytelling becoming such a big buzzword, but it makes it really difficult because I have to find the right champions to share the Craft and compel your audience story. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you on Thursday. Once again, we've had a few weeks off. I've been on vacation, but we were here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern time. Love for you to hop in, and appreciate you so much for those that do interact and hit me up and tell me, hey, that one's really impactful. Love that. And for those that are just getting into storytelling, you can direct message me on LinkedIn at any time. Love to connect. Have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll talk to you soon.